All right, so looks like you're ready to tackle this big pile of vocabulary that you've given us. You're really serious about this English fluency thing, huh?
Yeah, looks like it.
You've brought us transcripts from these two YouTube channels, English with Lucy and J Forest English. They're both about expanding your vocabulary,
Yeah,
right?
they're both really popular too.
Yeah, and we're talking hundreds of words and phrases here, from like everyday stuff to more like, nuanced synonyms and idioms.
Yeah, it's a lot to cover.
Yeah, it might seem a little daunting,
Yeah.
but don't worry, we're here to help you figure it all out
Right, we'll break it down.
and discover the best ways to like learn and actually use all these new words and phrases.
And the cool thing is these YouTubers don't just like give you dry definitions.
Yeah.
They know that real fluency is about more than just memorizing words. It's about using them, correctly in different situations.
Yeah.
They both have really engaging ways of teaching, but their approaches are pretty different.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Like Lucy's transcript is just full of colorful imagery and personal stories.
Yeah.
I was really drawn to her focus on like the emotional weight of words.
Yes, exactly. She'll take a simple word like sad,
Right.
and then she'll introduce you to like melancholy, which has this like, extra layer of wistful reflection. It's like she's painting a picture with words, helping you not only understand the definition, but also like feel the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
And it's not just about like feeling the words, it's about remembering them too.
Right.
I noticed she uses humor and storytelling to make them stick. Like that joke about the airplane food. I don't think I'll ever forget the word bland now.
Totally. What was really clever is how she uses these personal stories to highlight the nuances
Right.
between words that seem similar at first glance.
Exactly. Remember that example about feeling melancholy after graduating college?
Oh, yeah.
That personal touch just makes it so much more relatable and memorable.
Absolutely. Especially for people who've, experienced those same emotions.
Yeah, it's like she's tapping into that power of personal connection to enhance learning.
For sure.
And it's not just emotions either.
Right.
Her transcript also explores synonyms for like colors, textures, age, even time. She really emphasizes using descriptive language to paint a vivid picture for the listener.
Yeah, it's interesting how she connects visual imagery with language learning. For visual learners, this approach can be really effective.
Yeah.
Imagine describing a sunset not just as red,
Right.
but as crimson scarlet or even ruby.
Wow.
Suddenly, you're not just conveying information, you're evoking a feeling and experience.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like she's encouraging us to go beyond basic vocabulary and embrace like the richness and the beauty of the English language.
Precisely. And it's not just about sounding more eloquent. It's about being able to express yourself with greater precision and nuance.
So Lucy's approach is all about like tapping into our senses and emotions to make these words come alive.
Yeah.
But what about Jennifer? How does her teaching style differ?
Well, while Lucy focuses on the visual and emotional side of language,
Right.
Jennifer takes a more practical approach.
Okay.
Her transcript reads like a guidebook for everyday conversations.
Yeah.
It's packed with useful phrases for things like greetings, goodbyes, making plans, even navigating those like tricky situations, like when you don't know something.
You're right. I noticed that she really emphasizes sounding natural and fluent, like a native speaker. She even gives tips on pronunciation and contractions. Those little things.
Right, those subtle details that can make a big difference in how you're perceived.
Exactly. And this is where her focus on those contractions and pronunciation really shines.
Yeah.
By mastering those things, you not only sound more fluent, but you also gain confidence in your spoken English.
It's like she's giving you the secret code to unlock natural flowing conversation.
And it's not just about casual chit-chat either, right?
No, not at all.
She covers professional expressions too, which is super helpful for people who want to improve their English for work or school.
Absolutely. Remember her section on how to say I don't know in different ways depending on the context?
Oh yeah, that was a good one. It's like she's equipping you with the language tools to handle any situation.
Right, and to do it with confidence and grace.
I especially liked her examples of how to rephrase I don't know in a professional setting. Instead of just sounding unsure, she gives you options like,
Right.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I can definitely find out for you.
Yeah.
Or, that's a great question. Let me do some research and get back to you.
Exactly.
Suddenly, you're not just admitting you don't know something, you're showcasing your problem-solving skills.
That's a great observation.
Thanks.
It shows how even simple phrases can create totally different impressions depending on how you use them.
Right.
It's about understanding those subtle nuances and using them strategically to your advantage.
So we've got Lucy with her vivid imagery and emotional connections, and Jennifer with her practical phrases and focus on sounding natural.
Yeah, they both have a lot to offer.
They do. It seems like they both have valuable insights when it comes to mastering English vocabulary.
Sure.
But I'm curious, how do these approaches actually help someone learn and remember all these new words?
That's a great question, and it brings us to a key principle of language learning.
Okay.
It's not just about how many words you learn, it's about how you learn them.
Right.
How you integrate them into your active vocabulary.
Okay.
Both Lucy and Jennifer get this, and their methods reflect it.
So it's not about cramming your brain with definitions. It's about finding strategies that work for you.
Right.
And they help you actually use these words in real conversations.
Exactly. And that's what we'll be exploring further as we dive deeper into these transcripts.
Okay.
We'll uncover specific techniques and examples that you can apply to your own language learning journey.
Sounds good.
One thing that both Lucy and Jennifer really emphasize is the importance of using idioms to sound more natural and expressive.
Right.
They both spend a lot of time in their transcripts exploring these quirky expressions that add color and personality to the language.
Yeah, I love how idioms can make a simple sentence so much more memorable and engaging.
Right.
But I can see how they could be confusing for English learners
Oh, for sure.
because their meanings aren't always obvious.
Yeah, it's like you said, cracking a secret code.
Exactly.
Take "it's raining cats and dogs," for example.
Yeah.
If you take it literally, it sounds totally crazy.
Totally.
But once you know it just means it's raining heavily,
Right.
it becomes this fun and vivid way to describe the weather.
Jennifer's transcript is full of examples like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like bite the bullet, which means to face a difficult situation head on, or break a leg, which is a way to wish someone good luck.
Right.
These expressions might seem strange at first,
Yeah.
but they add this layer of cultural understanding that can really enrich your communication.
And it's not just about sounding more like a native speaker. Right. It's about understanding the culture behind the language.
Yeah.
Idioms often reflect shared experiences, values, and even humor.
That's true.
Learning them can give you a deeper appreciation for the nuances of English culture.
I noticed that Jennifer also dives into slang words,
Oh, yeah.
which are those super casual expressions that you might hear like among friends or in specific contexts.
Right. The key thing with slang is knowing when and where to use it.
Right.
It's like choosing the right outfit for the occasion.
Okay.
You wouldn't wear a ball gown to a casual barbecue, right?
No.
And you wouldn't use slang in a formal presentation.
Right.
It's all about matching your language style to the situation.
That's a great analogy. It reminds me of Jennifer's section on professional expressions.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a cheat sheet for sounding confident and competent in a work environment.
For sure.
I was really impressed by her advice on how to talk about your accomplishments without sounding arrogant. She gives you phrases like extensive experience or significant skills,
Right.
which let you highlight your strengths in a professional way.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance between confidence and humility,
Yeah.
which can be tricky in a new language.
And she doesn't just focus on self-promotion.
Right.
She also gives guidance on how to handle those tough interview questions.
Yeah, like tell me about yourself, or
Yeah.
why should we hire you?
It's like having a personal interview coach right there in your pocket.
I really appreciate how she stresses the importance of structure and clarity when answering those questions. It's not just about throwing out a bunch of information.
Right.
It's about presenting your skills and experience in a concise and compelling way
Yeah.
that connects with the interviewer.
It's about storytelling, isn't it?
Exactly.
You're telling the story of your career in a way that makes them want to hear more.
And Jennifer gives you the tools to craft that narrative in a way that shows off your strengths
Right.
and aligns with the company's values.
Both Lucy and Jennifer also talk about the importance of apologizing gracefully, which can be tricky in any language.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I noticed that Jennifer gives a range of expressions,
Right.
from a simple sorry to more formal apologies like my sincere apologies, or even I take full responsibility.
What I like is how she emphasizes offering a solution or taking action.
Yeah.
When you've messed up, it shows that you're not just saying sorry for the sake of it.
Right.
You're genuinely trying to make things right.
That's so important.
It is.
It's about demonstrating accountability and being proactive.
Yeah.
qualities that are valuable in any professional setting.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder that language isn't just about conveying information.
Right.
It's about building relationships and navigating social situations with grace and empathy.
Speaking of navigating social situations, Jennifer's section on travel phrases
Yes.
is incredibly helpful for anyone planning a trip to North America.
For sure.
She covers everything from greetings and basic etiquette to ordering food in a restaurant
Yeah.
and even asking for directions.
What I find helpful is that she goes beyond the basic phrases
Yeah.
and gives you insights into cultural norms and expectations.
Right.
Like she points out that tipping is customary in North America and explains how to figure out the right amount.
Those little cultural insights can make a big difference
Oh, absolutely.
in having a smoother and more enjoyable trip.
It's about respecting local customs and making an effort to understand the culture.
Exactly. It's those small gestures that can make a positive interaction and leave a good impression.
So we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from idioms and slang to professional expressions and even travel phrases.
It's clear that both Lucy and Jennifer offer valuable insights into English vocabulary and how to use it effectively in different situations. But how do we tie all of this together?
That's a great question.
How can we as English learners take all this information and actually apply it to our own language learning journey?
That brings us to one of the most important aspects of language learning, the idea of register.
Register, I've heard that term before,
Yeah.
but I'm not totally sure what it means.
It basically refers to how formal or informal your language is.
Okay.
It's like adjusting your volume depending on where you are.
Okay.
You wouldn't shout in a library,
No.
and you wouldn't whisper at a rock concert
Right.
in the same way you adjust your language style,
Yeah.
depending on the context, your audience, and your purpose.
So it's like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
Slang might be okay with friends.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be appropriate for a business meeting or a job interview.
Right. And that's where understanding register is so important. It's about being aware of when to use certain words and phrases,
Right.
and when to choose more formal or informal options.
But how do we develop that awareness?
It takes time and exposure to the language.
Okay.
One helpful tip is to pay attention to how native speakers adjust their language. Listen to how they talk with their friends, their families, and their colleagues. Notice how their vocabulary tone, even their body language changes.
So it's about observation and imitation,
Yeah,
like absorbing the language from our surroundings and
It's
trying to
true.
do the same thing.
exactly. And the more you practice, the easier it will become.
Okay.
It's like learning to dance. At first, you might feel awkward and unsure of the steps,
Right.
but with practice, you develop grace and fluidity.
That's a great analogy.
It makes the process seem less intimidating
Yeah.
and more like a fun journey of discovery.
Exactly. And that's what language learning should be.
Right.
A fun and rewarding experience that opens up new possibilities for communication and connection.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about choosing the right words for the right situation.
Right.
But I'm wondering, are there any practical tips for actually incorporating all these new words and phrases into our everyday conversations?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
One of the biggest hurdles for language learners is bridging the gap between passive knowledge,
Okay.
understanding the words and definitions.
And actually using them in real life.
Right. It's like having this toolbox full of shiny new tools,
Yeah.
but not knowing how to use any of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might know the definition of exquisite,
Okay.
but if you never use it in a sentence,
Right.
it's not really part of your active vocabulary.
So how do we make that jump from passive to active?
Well,
How do we start actually using these words confidently in our everyday lives?
one good strategy is to focus on just a few new words at a time.
Okay.
Don't try to learn everything at once.
Right.
Pick a handful of words that you like or that you think you'll actually use.
Yeah.
And make a conscious effort to work them into your conversations.
That makes sense. So instead of overwhelming ourselves with a huge list,
Right.
we can focus on mastering a few words at a time and build from there.
Exactly.
Another helpful tip
Yeah.
is to come up with your own examples and sentences using the new words.
That's a great idea. It helps you remember the meaning. It makes it easier to recall the word when you need it.
It's like creating your own personal dictionary
Yeah.
with examples that are relevant to you,
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
right? Oh, absolutely. Mistakes are totally normal.
Yeah.
They're part of the process.
It's easy to get discouraged when you mess up. but they're actually stepping stones to fluency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more you use the language, the more comfortable you'll become.
That makes sense?
Don't be afraid to play around with different words and expressions.
Yeah.
See what works for you.
So it's about finding your own voice
Yeah.
and developing your own unique way of communicating.
Right, within the framework of the English language.
This has been such an interesting deep dive
It has.
into the world of English vocabulary.
Mhm.
I feel like I have a whole new set of tools and strategies
Yeah.
for expanding my vocabulary and expressing myself more effectively.
And remember, learning a language is a journey.
Right.
There's always more to discover.
Yep.
So keep practicing, keep experimenting, and most importantly, have fun with it.
So to our listener out there,
Yes.
we encourage you to take what you've learned today
Mm-hmm.
and start putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Choose some new words or phrases that you want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with your own examples and sentences,
Right.
and find ways to use them in your everyday conversations.
It's all about consistency.
Exactly. Remember, fluency isn't a destination.
Yep.
It's a journey.
It is.
And every step you take brings you closer to your goals.